Welcome everyone to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time tuning into one of my videos, my name is Stef and I'm the Psychic Soul Alignment Coach. And I usually have an intro about myself, but to sum up really quick, basically I help spiritual people, spiritual entrepreneurs to powerfully heal in order to create their impact in this world, in order to create lives that they truly love, in order to be in alignment with more of who they truly are. So that's basically what I do. Now, today's video is going to be a little bit different because in today's video, I have some guests, as you can see here on your screen, because today I have kind of created something that I've momentarily called the Conscious Roundtable because I didn't know what name to give it. So this is what we're going with right now. And the purpose of today's call and a future call as well that I'm going to be doing is all around discussing the topic of conducting business in the age of Aquarius, in this new age that we find ourselves in this process that we're going through in creating the new earth. And because we're creating this new earth, things are going to have to be differently from what they used to be, or they're accustomed to be. So today we're going to be discussing conducting business in the new age, and we're just going to be sharing insights, wisdom, questions, challenges, struggles that I hope really helps everyone, no matter what stage of business you're at, whether you're starting out, whether you've been in business for a while, or whether you're having some challenges at this time, for it to just really provide you some clarity and insights and breakthroughs that you may need as you move forward, because things are truly shifting very quickly, very powerfully in this new world that we're creating. And if you continue to do things in the old way, you continue to force yourself to try to stick to old strategies and just other forceful, more toxic masculine strategies and mentalities, then oftentimes it's going to result into struggle and burnout as you move forward. So we're hoping that today the conversation will really support you in saving yourself all that stress, that pain, that trouble, and that you more quickly align yourself with what is truly meant for you at this time as you decide to bring forward your business. Okay, so before I get into it, I want to introduce my invitees. My guests. I don't know how to talk right now. My guests here. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves and then we'll get into the conversation. Okay. So Maggie, do you want to start?
Sure. I'm Maggie Fromm and I'm a relatively new entrepreneur going on almost a year here. And I am building a container, a space right now that is basically going to be a social media network that exclusively focuses on personal development. I also am a yoga instructor and I have been a life coach as well.
Awesome. Angela, you want to go next?
Yes, I'm Andrea Drzewicki and I'm currently working on building a business to help women to stand in their power and speak their truth and basically to uncover their authentic self. I also do Reiki, and I'm working on bringing that into the business as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Andrea, you want to go next?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me here. I'm Andrea Croci. I've been working the last 5 years as a massage therapist and posture rehabilitation coach, focusing on the posture aspects of illnesses. And in 2020, I started working online with people who want to address the physical issue through online coaching and get guidance on how to prevent that aches from affecting the day-to-day life.
Okay, cool. It is still a little bit hard to hear you, Andrea. I just want you to know in case when you watch the replay, I let you know I couldn't hear you that well. So I hope we can fix that throughout the call. But so going into the conversation now, I wanted to start off by asking you guys here, my guests, if you had any questions on creating a conscious business in the new age, or if you're having some challenges or struggles that you want to share with that, or something that maybe you've realized as you worked on your business about how maybe the old ways of business don't work for you, and you're finding yourself being guided or led to do things differently. So go ahead.
Sure, I'll go.
Yeah.
So I really think, being at the precipice of building my business, it's really important for me to want to create a environment where where everyone feels safe to voice their opinion, where everyone feels safe to really be able to speak their truth, rather than, I have a background about 8 years in advertising and marketing, working for different companies all over the US. And, there's generally this like hierarchy that I think in this new age, like we can't move on with that. There needs to be a leader in the space, but, does how so my challenge in the future I'm foreseeing is being able to be that leader, but also being able to be approachable in a way where people feel safe to be able to voice their opinions.
Yeah, I really love that because something that I see is really coming down lately a lot is the fact that, and Andrea is going to try to make his way back. He's trying from a different device to see if we can hear him better. But I see that a lot of the old structures of having leaders and gurus and people that we put on pedestals is starting to come down. And that is being revealed through like dark secrets or hidden things from people that we had on such pedestals. Like they're falling off of their pedestals. They're being revealed for who they truly are. The masks are coming off. And that's part of kind of breaking that down and trying to teach us as humans, like to stop putting people on pedestals, to stop thinking that someone's way up here and we're less than or whatever. That has to dissolve, because yes, there is a leader, there is someone who needs to kind of guide us and lead the way, but we're all equal and we all just need to be willing to see each other as such and not. And just kind of, I think that's part of also kind of dissolving this comparisonitis that a lot of us experience. Like I know for me, especially, like we look, especially with business, like we come online and then we see all these people doing things, or they come online and like their businesses explode overnight and we're like, how come that doesn't work for me? And why isn't this working? And we just get into this habit of comparisonitis. So I think maybe that's these hierarchies that are coming down are kind of part of the process of dissolving that comparisonitis, really seeing ourselves as equal, bringing more equality into the space in different ways. Because we in the last few years have noticed how like equality is becoming a big issue on so many different levels because of your gender, your sexual preference, your color of your skin, because of the country that you live in and like things that are available to you, like basic needs and that kind of stuff. So equality is trying to show up in so many different ways, and I think that's definitely part of it. So I really agree with that. Does anyone else have anything else to add, or you want to say something else?
I really have been starting to try to live in a place where I realize like everybody is where they're at, instead of, it's kind of the same thing. Like for a while there, I had like this huge spiritual ego where I would like look down on people that, and now it's like, loving everybody and where they're at is like the way that we're going to change the world, the way that, this way of doing business is so much different than, a business in the world today, and that's, I think the main, like one of the biggest things that's going to, change the business world is that, like seeing everybody and loving them where they're at, but them being able to see that there's more, I think that's a huge component.
When your spiritual ego was manifesting, because we all have spiritual ego, by the way, every single person, and like I did a video recently, so I think it's going to be here in the cards that you can check it out on spiritual ego, because we all have it on some level and we have to constantly work through it. Like when you were recognizing your spiritual ego, like how was it manifesting for you then?
I feel when I would like have conversations with people, I would think like, oh, if they only knew, oh, if they, it was like, I guess it wasn't so much in my like outer world. It was more just like this talking in my head, like I would in a way like look down on people because they weren't where I was, instead of like having compassion because like maybe they're not ready for that. Like, it was just like, my inner dialogue, and it was kind of a conflict in myself, even like I was, maybe I don't know exactly, like, but it was just in my head, like the conflict in my head.
I can relate because I found like for me, it was more so like giving unsolicited advice, you know, like me being like, I would really recommend that, you start meditating, or have you tried affirmations, different things like that. And one really big realization I had not too long ago was just understanding that not everybody is on this path to expand their consciousness. They're on it whether they're conscious of it or not, right? Because we all are, but not everybody is consciously trying to be the best, that they can be and evolve. It's going to happen regardless if they are conscious of it or not, right? As we know, but, letting that go, that like what I'm creating and what you're creating, what we're all creating is not going to be for everyone. It's not going to resonate with everyone, and that's okay. I think it's important for us to just remember that everybody's at the place where they are, and maybe everybody's purpose is different, right? And not everybody's purpose is the same path as ours, right?
Yeah. Andrea, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah. Can you hear me better?
Yeah, much better.
Yeah. So as my purpose is to mostly lead by example, previously I tried to impose my belief that a plant-based diet is superior. And there's that I believe that, but obviously I don't remember the name. The person just spoke.
Maggie?
Maggie, sorry, Maggie.
He's
As
on the
Maggie
phone. I don't think
said,
he can see.
it's just that I've only whatever. Anyway, as Maggie was saying, the path is not for everyone. So I'm trying. What I'm doing now is like I'm giving me time until June the 1st to forget the outer space and just go deep within me. As we talked many times, last year we did the program, and really focusing on the inner works to manifest the genius that is going to help the people that are ready to be helped and they want to be helped to move on this path of self-development and clarity. But lots of people, they are not really ready, and some people don't really want it. They content to be where they are.
Mm-hmm.
And we just got to accept that.
Yeah. And I really think as more and more people continue down this path and they're stepping into their authentic truth, it's showing other people that they're safe to be their authentic selves as well. So it's just going to be this ripple effect, as we move along, and I think that's, for me personally, with what I'm creating in the world, that's a big motivator for me, is if I can create a space for people to come to assist in this evolution process, it's going to have a ripple effect no matter what. So
what I want to say to these 2 points that I feel were just made is that, going back to spiritual ego real quick, where we think we know better because we've been working on ourselves. And so when people come and talk to us, I think a lot of the people who will be watching this or who have businesses and are watching this are usually in personal development. They're coaches, guides of some kind. And so when you've been working on yourself for a while and you talk to someone and they're telling you about their problems, you can immediately spot what their issues are, what they're doing wrong, or what they could be doing better, to improve their lives, because chances are you've been working on yourself. And so you've been doing this stuff, right? And so when you look at them, it's very easy to fall back in spiritual ego and to be like, oh my God, you're not where I'm at. Let me help you. Let me show you the way. Let me show you the light. And it's funny because what's happening now as we're stepping into the age of Aquarius and we're evolving, we're going on this ascension process, is that the energy is heightening around us, more and more and more and more. Chances are maybe you've been noticing a lot more physical symptoms in your body lately, where your body seems to react more to the energy depending on how sensitive you've become to energy and stuff. But there's an increase of energy coming onto the planet. People are opening up more to their psychic abilities or their intuition. And so energy is becoming more palpable. Whether we recognize that we have intuition or not, or we have these abilities or not, we're more sensory now. We can feel the subtleties. And so when you, as a guide, as a coach, or someone who's here to help people, are judging someone, And I did a video a long time ago. I don't know if I uploaded it to YouTube. If I find it, I'll let y'all know in the comments. But I did a video where, like, if you're judging the people that you're trying to help on a subconscious level, on an energetic level, they're feeling that. They're feeling your judgment. And what is that going to do? It's going to repel them. So you're not going to succeed with business. You're going to repel people because you're judging them and you're judging their process and you're not being compassionate. And we're spiritual beings. We are here to be, you know, as loving and as compassionate as we can possibly be, because that's the journey that we are. We're returning to our truth. But when we're not being compassionate and loving and accepting to the people right in front of us, because we're judging their process, we're judging where they're at, you know, we're judging, you know, how they're doing things or whatever, then they can feel that and they're not going to feel safe. They're not going to want to open up to us. They're not going to want to receive our help. And it's not going to allow for us to move forward and make our impact, you know, receive the resources that we require to move forward in our lives, like money and these kinds of things. And we're not going to really be able to reach those people with our unique gifts that we're meant to because of our own inner stuff. And so this then leads me to what Andrea was saying just a second ago, which was like focusing on the inner world. Inner world stuff, like you doing your inner work, is going to be so important moving forward. Because again, you know, this is becoming a very interesting environment that we're learning to navigate, where energy is everything. Energy is the new currency. It's not money anymore. You know, money is what we used to use to kind of like interact with one another and exchange resources and that kind of thing. But it's shifting more into energy. We're shifting into more energetic world. And so our energy has to be as, you know, aligned as possible. We don't have to be perfect. This doesn't mean you have to be completely gone of like your, you know, inner stuff or whatever. Like, it's a process. You're not going to have to be completely enlightened and pure and whatever to do your work and to make money and move forward. No, but, you know, in order for you to move forward and actually create the impact that you're meant to make and to receive the abundance that you require, like, you have to do your inner work. Because if not, if you're coming at it from, you know, judgment or insecurity, you don't trust your abilities or whatever it is, that's going to directly impact your energy and your ability to be able to succeed in life and with your business. So, you know, if any of y'all want to share on that, go for it.
I definitely agree.
Anyone have questions? Anyone have anything they want to share? Andrea's just like looking at me like, oh, I'm learning.
I think oh, go ahead.
It depends, because I'm still like I'm still working on my own ego, so I'm kind of on the fences. How much should I talk on such recording?
Well, maybe you're here to just listen.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So it kind of, I want to say a few things, but at the same time, it's like, is that something that it adds to something, or just expressing my own belief? It's like, so
well, if you really feel
in terms of
share
energy, in terms of using energy as exchange, that's something that I'm working on. And I just yesterday night I was talking to my wife about it, like shifting from these needs of like, you know, I need the clients because I need the money. No, it's like I need to align myself to the right energy, because in the right energy, the Andrea in the quantum field that already has clients doesn't need to look for clients to have more money. It already has that. Already has fulfilled that ability to market to the right people. Is already helping. It's not that it's making money. It's already helping people that are able to afford their own journey. So
Yeah.
they need to embark on that journey, and obviously that journey is involve financial investments, and they need to be okay with it. So I need to step. I told my wife that I want to work on myself to step into that quantum reality, that it's happening already in the quantum field. Because as like 5-6 years ago, I was in London and I wanted to live in South America. Like I just like it manifested that, you know, I catch up with my wife. That at that time was just a friend. We become a couple, and after a year, we moved to South America. It was very natural. It wasn't planned. It literally manifests.
Yeah.
But I left London with the idea to go to South America.
Yeah. And Angela, did you want to say something?
I was also going to say something about like this you said something about like the energetics as currency. And I think that since I've been like doing deeper and deeper work, it's like my energy has changed. So now, I'm sorry, my dog's like,
I know.
She has something to say.
But like, I feel just more like open, and like I'm able to receive more, instead of like, you know, previously I would like make a post on Facebook and then I'd like, oh, who's, you know, seeing me, and nobody's interacting with me, like what's going on, you know? And it's like now I can like express myself and like be open to, you know, receiving without being like, oh, what's gonna happen, you know? And it's like what changed in me was like my energy. You know, and it's like it wasn't the energy of everyone around me. Like all of a sudden people weren't, you know, it was my energy. So I now that I'm open more to like receiving, I feel, I guess I feel my impact, you know, in a way. And it's like that the energy that I'm radiating, like I know that there are people out there that need my message, and that, you know, I can help so many people, instead of in that energy of like, well, what if nobody's listening, you know? So I feel like that energy, working on yourself and the energy that you bring to the table, and, you know, that's makes or breaks your business basically.
Yeah. Maggie, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. You know, I feel like everyone, whether they're spiritual or not, when you become an entrepreneur, it's a spiritual experience, you know,
Yeah.
and it has been a shedding and, you know, rebirthing and death process over and over again, because as I'm getting closer, and as we get closer to becoming what we're here to be, you have to step into that and you have to let go, you know? And for the longest time, my whole life, I was just like, if I knew my purpose, if I know my mission, then everything will be great. Like I'll know exactly what to do. Right. And then I get the divinely inspired idea and it's like, holy crap, this is it. You know, like, you know, fireworks go off and I'm like, oh my God, this is it. And then it's like, wow, then it sets in, then the pressure's on, like, wow, people really need what I'm here to do. Like, I have to do this. Can I do this? I don't know if I can do it. You know, getting over all those self-doubts, getting over all your own BS, like it takes a lot. You know, I got this idea in September and here we are in almost in May, and I'm at the precipice of like just really being able, like, it's like in the birth canal, you know, ready to be birthed. But it takes a while for us to go through these processes. So I definitely relate with like what both Andrea and Angela were saying about, and yourself, about having to do that inner work, because we have to shed the old in order for that new version of us to step into it. And it's also that process of, who is that person? What does she do? How does she act? What, you know, what energy is this, you know, and being able to hold other people's energy as well. So it's a beautiful spiritual process that can sometimes not feel so great, I think.
100%. And, you know, that's why healing work especially is so important, and like increasing your awareness, especially as you're breaking down your old ways of thinking, of being, of doing, and you're figuring out like who this new version of yourself is, and like putting that into practice. Because by default, you're going to want, because of your conditioning, your programming, you're going to want to go back to the scarcity. So you're going to want to go back to the old things, the thoughts of like, okay, how many clients do I need to make this amount of money? You know, how many people do I need to sign up this month? How many? And then you're like focused on like the logistical type of stuff, because your brain is programmed to go back to that pattern of scarcity, of trying to be in control and figuring it out and doing it all yourself. And something that really needs to be really, I guess, I think that spiritual people and spiritual entrepreneurs especially really need to understand is that the path for everyone who's an entrepreneur is definitely the spiritual process. But for spiritual entrepreneurs, because you believe in a higher power, you believe in God's source energy, whatever it is, you're going to be asked to really let go of your control again and again, and to surrender to a greater power that is. You're going to be asked to let go of you trying to figure out, how am I going to reach these goals? How many people do I need? What do I need to do in order to get that? And you're going to have to be asked again and again to surrender and to let go, and to just simply allow this to come in, allow this idea to come in, allow the next step to be shown to you, allow yourself to be carried forward, and stop trying to do it your way, thinking, oh, let me create this plan. This is a brilliant plan. I'm going to do this launch. Oh yeah, that's the thing, is that, and okay, traditionally in regular business, you'll see a lot of people out there, a lot of amazing, brilliant experts who share their brilliant, like, step-by-step strategy. And they're like, do this strategy to make this amount every month, or do this strategy to blow up your business doing, these things, or whatever it is. And their methods, their strategies are so powerful and valuable for the people who are meant to receive it. Okay. What I want everyone to know and understand, and the reason that I'm doing these videos at all, is because recently I was catching up with a past client of mine from a couple of years ago, because that's what I do from time to time. I like message my past clients and I'm like, hey, let's catch up. What you been up to? So we have these talks, and I don't do this with Andrea because I talk to Andrea a lot. So we're always in touch. But so I talked to her, and I was telling my past client, I was like, something that I really heard recently, I forgot from who, but oh yeah, I remember, Kyle Cease. And it was about different states of consciousness. And he put very brilliantly into words what I already knew, but I hadn't known how to express it, which was, consciousness for me, means a different level of understanding. And as you raise your consciousness, you understand more and more and more. It's like you only have one little piece of the puzzle, and that's all you know. And then you get another piece of the puzzle and you expand your understanding, and then you know more of the world, and so on and so forth, right? And so this is what it is that we come from the source energy that is all things, and it's so expansive, but we're not source. This is something that I teach my clients specifically in Soul Line Impact, is like, there's this saying out there in the universe or the world where it's like, you are part of source. Like, okay, you come from source and you're a part of source, so therefore you are source, something like that. And I get how people are trying to interpret that. They're using that to try to empower people, to make them believe and feel and know, like, you're not just like a puny human being, like you come from this great source power, so that you have like this tremendous power inside of you to do amazing things. And I think that's all good and well, but I think sometimes people confuse that with thinking that they are God or source energy, and that they're all powerful and they're able to do these things. And sometimes I feel, and this is my perspective, take what resonates, leave what doesn't, because I'm here to help you discover your truth, and you have to go live your path and figure out what's truth for you. But what I've understood in my own journey, because of trial and error and me thinking this kind of thing, like, yeah, I'm one with source and I have power to, do whatever source wants, and I'm going to go out there and make it happen. And I go out there and I make it happen because I'm very willful, and I have, like, when I want something, I'll make it happen. But as I did that, I depleted my energy, and I got sick for a couple of weeks, and I understood the repercussions of the fact that I thought I was really trusting the universe, but I wasn't trusting the universe. I was just trusting in myself, my own power, and I wasn't leaning into a higher power, if that makes sense. So through life, experience, I've learned, like, okay, I am one with source. I come from source, but I'm not God, because I'm not all knowing. I'm not all that is. I am this one speck of consciousness here, and I'm gradually expanding to come closer to God, come closer to source. And so that means then that, consciousness is different levels of understanding. So when it comes to business, there are different tiers, or, hierarchy, going back to the hierarchy. And I don't want to use it, because I think a lot of people have used the hierarchy in like a negative way. It could be positive, I have no idea. But when it comes to consciousness, like, there are different levels of consciousness. Like, we can measure, wavelengths or whatever it is. It's just numbers. Okay. And so with consciousness, there are different levels of understanding, and people, depending on what the subject is, their consciousness could be really expanded on one subject, really, not expanded or contracted in certain things. So it just depends, right? So when it comes to business, though, there are many different levels of consciousness. And when it comes to the old strategies of how business was done in the old ways of doing things, there are people who are on the consciousness level of, doing the marketing strategies and, follow this formula and do it this way with, ads or whatever it is, and hustling and calling, all these people and doing, making it happen. So there's people at the level of consciousness that are aligned for those kinds of teachers, mentors, experts, and strategies. And it's going to work for them. But the thing is that for spiritual entrepreneurs, because we have a deeper connection to spirit, to a higher power source, and we're working on ourselves, and we're being asked to do business in a different way, we have to be willing to run our business, conduct businesses in a way that truly feels in alignment with our souls, and in a way that a lot of times is going to break the mold, is going to be completely different from the old ways of doing things. And what I've really noticed, like in my own journey with observing other people on a similar wavelength, is that, you know, some of us unconsciously want to do the old things because that's what we learned as we came into the business world. We learned like the strategies and making all this, you know, branding stuff look all perfect and this and that, and having to do this. Like, you'll find everyone there saying that their way is the best way. Like, you need to have a website to be successful and make all this money, or you need to have, you know, social media, or you need to do this. And literally, like, I'm sure there's been everyone out there doing business completely different from the other. So like, there's people making millions of dollars without a website. There's people making millions of dollars without social media at all, just simply word of mouth type of stuff, right? There's people making millions of dollars doing in-person events, you know, with all these people and all this other stuff. And so with being a conscious spiritual entrepreneur, and oftentimes being at a higher level of consciousness in regards to like business and stuff, we're being asked to break free from the mold, break free from those things, because we're trying to combine ourselves. We're trying to be like them. We're trying to fit into their box of how things are supposed to be done. And we're being asked again and again to drop that, break free from the mold, be who we truly are, and do things that truly feel good to us and in alignment with us, and to trust in that. But sometimes, because of the unconscious limiting fears, beliefs, ego, scarcity, the programming, we don't feel comfortable, we don't feel safe treading these new waters, because that looks familiar. That's worked for them. We don't know what this is like. We don't trust ourselves. We don't trust the spirit or God or whatever. And so we're afraid of doing that, and we resist that. And then that often is what kind of delays our ability to succeed with business, is because we're being asked to go in a completely new direction, to do things completely differently, to break the mold, to do things uniquely, because we're here as unique souls, and we're meant to do things that feel good to our unique souls. But sometimes we resist that because, you know, that's what we've been programmed or made to think, that that was like the one and true way to do things. So I leave it all to you to share your comments and your experiences.
Totally. I agree. And I think like one of the big things too, you're talking about with, you know, your levels of consciousness, and just, you know, a big thing is divine timing, right? You know, sometimes we see what we want and we push our way there, but we're not ready yet. And that's why it doesn't work. And it's like, if we would have just actually surrendered and listened and went with the flow. And this was something that I was thinking of bringing up too, is just like any, you know, recommendations that you guys maybe have, you know, with, you know, I think we're all here with our unique gifts, the things that we're really good at and the things that we're not necessarily so first inclined to do, right? Like, how do you stay in flow when you have to do those things that are not necessarily in your wheelhouse, I guess. Any advice there? Not to totally take it off topic, but sorry.
I think Angela wants to say something.
That was one of my questions, so we can come back to it if you want.
I don't really have any advice for that at the moment, but it might come to me. But I was just thinking that like, I've had a discussion with a friend who, you know, has a business, and, you know, he would be like, you know, you need to do this, this, and this, like, go do it. And I'm just like, I would get so frustrated because it wasn't like what I was trying to do. And I remember even having a couple conversations with Stef about this. Like, I'm so frustrated, not happening. Like, what's like, I don't know what to do. And it was just like surrendering. And when I surrendered, I realized like I still have a lot of stuff that I need to get out before I can truly make this impact that because I know it's big, you know, and it's like, there's things in there that I need to get out and, you know, feel in order to do business the way I know that I am called to. So it was like a huge, you know, frustration. Like, why can I not make this money? You're making all this money doing these things. Why can't I, you know? So definitely like surrendering to that. And just divine timing, like you said, like it just wasn't my time. I don't think. I still had things that I was going through, and, you know, people in my life that weren't meant to be there, and, you know, things that I had to cut off and learn from, that was helping me to make a bigger impact. So I think that the frustration of trying to do business in that way is very real until you like can surrender and move forward.
Andrea, do you have anything you want to add or say or ask? Or are you just listening?
I'll keep listening a couple of minutes more.
Okay. Okay, cool. So going to Maggie's question. So it's interesting that you asked me this because I was actually working through something similar myself yesterday. So what I teach my clients is that, to figure out their own flow, their own rhythm, because this is the thing is like, people need to understand that like, when they come to me, I'm not going to tell them to do it my way. I'm going to help them, guide them to figure out what their way is for right now, given where they're at. And then that will need to be modified, a little bit down the road as they shift and change and evolve. And they'll have to retweak things and keep it moving, so on and so forth, because we're constantly growing, evolving. And something that works for us is not going to work for us forever. A lot of times, I think that's probably part of the old model is like, this is the one tried and true way. And you stick to it and forever and ever and ever. And we're evolving beings. And at least like for me, what I've learned through understanding human design and stuff lately in the last year and so is like, I'm here to experiment. So I'm not here to do things a fixed way. Like I can do it a fixed way for a short time or the time that I need it to. And then things in my life change, routines, whatever happens. And then I have to readjust and realign and keep it moving. Right. So I want everyone to give themselves the grace to understand that, more than likely, you're probably looking for that one tried and true answer, that 5-step formula, or this one perfect way of like arranging your time to get things done and make things happen or move forward with the things that you want to move forward with. And that's good and true to a certain extent. Like you do need to make the time to actually move forward on the things that are going to move you forward with your business, and take action, because action is important. Like, it's not a business, is not just going to manifest out of thin air for most of us. Like we do have to put our energy into it, our time, our effort for so many reasons. And so we do have to make the time for that. But how that looks like or how that evolves is going to be different from person to person, depending on where they're at in that particular state of their journey and what they need at that time. Because there are moments in my journey or periods that have been in my journey where I need to stick to like a kind of regimented routine to help get my mind back on track, to help me to start moving through resistance that I'm probably coming up against, to get me to start doing positive habits for myself. And so I need more of like a structured, regimented routine. So I will time block and I'll be like, okay, this time in the morning is time for my personal self-care, get myself right and ready for the day. And then I do, work on business and I sit down and I get to work and I get it done. And so there have been times where that has been useful in my journey and where I do that. But recently, however, I try to do some of that. And I was like, my mornings are kind of regular and I don't know, I do whatever with my life. And then somehow around, this time is when I finally like get ready to sit down and get to business and do things. And, it was around 3 or 4 in the afternoon or something yesterday. And I was like, okay, time to sit down and get to business. And then I didn't get to business. I meditated. I got sleepy. I went to sleep. I woke up and I was like, okay, I got to do something today. I got to do something today with this life to make it worthwhile. Like, what did I do with my existence today? Like, that's my thoughts, right? And then I talked to my guides and I was like, hold on, let me talk to my guides real quick. And my guides, because of where I'm at in my current journey, what I'm learning, what I'm processing, my guides are like, Stephanie, you need to stop sitting down and thinking that, you need to sit down and force yourself to do things and that you need to like make the inspiration happen in that moment. You're not being open and receptive. You're not flowing. You're not surrendering. You're not trusting in the process, because if you really trusted in your process, you wouldn't, stress out, around late afternoon thinking like, okay, now I have to sit down and do something because otherwise, my day's wasted. No, like you're not really trusting in the process, allowing things to unfold. 3-4 o'clock comes around and you're like, okay, now, you're trying to control things instead of trusting the divine to give you the inspiration when it's supposed to happen. And to trust, like, how do I explain it? It's like, I'm not trusting that at some point during the day, the inspiration to take action will happen. So I try to put it in my schedule to be like, at this time, the inspiration has to hit and I got to do something. And I'm trying to control the process. And so my guides were like, hello, like, you're not really trusting and surrendering. You have to allow it to unfold. You can't force it. You have to trust that even if inspiration hits, like, 9 o'clock at night, like that's when it's supposed to hit you. And that's when, you get to business and you do whatever, but you have to like allow things to flow, let go of your control. So that's currently like what I'm going through at this time, is learning to break free from a lot of regimentedness that has served me, but that it's like I've been too comfortable in that. And I'm in this current place of like surrendering and flowing and just really, really doing my best to trust that, I will be guided to do the next thing when I'm supposed to. And like a perfect example of that that's coming right now that they kind of showed me yesterday as well, while they were giving me this message, was like a few weeks back, I don't know when it was, I felt inspired to write this post right as I was about to take the shower. And I was just like, oh, I got to write this down. Just like going at it for like 30 minutes on my phone, on the toilet, just sitting there. I wasn't using the bathroom, by the way. I had the toilet seat down, but I'm just like writing and I'm in the bathroom. And then I'm like, okay, I got to post this now too, and then like, that was enough for that day, but I don't know, like I in my mind, I'm like, if the inspiration hasn't hit by this time, like I have to make it hit. So you better come, inspiration. I better write something today and put something out into the world today. And so I'm learning to shift out of that, to try to stop forcing my will and what I think needs to be done. And, basically telling spirit what to do, and to just trust and allow and be like, you know what, it's just going to come when it's supposed to. If it doesn't come today, it's all good. And just finding that balance, because yes, we do need to take action to a certain extent. And then they were also told me some other things about trusting in the energy. Like, I think I constantly need to be doing things, and I need to like do something in order to receive something. Because a lesson I'm learning right now is just to like know my existence is enough, and that I can just receive from being right now. That's what I'm currently going through. Okay. And I'm not saying this is true for everyone. If you feel like it resonates with you at this time, go for it, and take it as it resonates with you. But it's about, me also learning to trust that even if I'm not actively doing things, like the energy behind the scenes and, spirit squad and everyone, like they're working on things for me, and I just need to allow that to just process and unfold as it needs to. So, you just have to see like where you're at in your journey, Maggie, and see if like things like time blocking and creating a schedule routine is beneficial for you, or maybe you have a mix of things where you have part of the day be a little bit scheduled, regimented for you, and then the rest kind of flows, or the whole day flows. You have to experiment and see what works for you at this time and where you're at in your journey.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think when I first became an entrepreneur, I was very regimented, and then it was like, okay, you need to let your divine feminine in. And then it was very much flowing. So I'm kind of in this in between. And, I think you're so right about like allowing that inspiration to come through and really surrendering to allowing me to just relax and letting that be enough. I think that one of the things that like kind of occurred to me a couple of days ago is like, what if my higher self, what if my guides, what if my future self, like, what if they are actually like purposely aligning things so that they're easy for me? Because I think I have this belief in my head that I like, if I haven't worked for it, I didn't try for it, like, it's not right. Like if something's coming into my life easily, like maybe it was actually like them doing that. Like maybe that was actually me doing that, right? From the work that I put in the past, like if that makes sense. And it's like, let's not be resistance to things that potentially come easily for us. And it's like, not everything needs to be hard or needs to be worked for. So that's something that is kind of similar to what you're saying about just like allowing yourself to just rest and be, and let that be enough, is something that I'm working on as well. And I think like, as far as like doing things that aren't necessarily like, fun, or like, oh, okay, we got to do like our taxes, but we don't really want to, like, it's one of those things that I think you just have to like time block it and just be like, okay, I'm going to make this happen, because that's just part of being human. And the rest of the time, like really allowing that flow and inspiration to come in is the key.
And also like when you're resisting, so it's very mindful. So you got to be mindful of the fact that like when you're resisting doing something that is important for you and your business to move forward, you got to look into that as well and be like, okay, so why do I keep putting off doing my taxes, for example, in this case? Why do I know I got to do it, but why do I keep putting it off? And then you got to look into that, because maybe there's subconscious fears, insecurities, things that are going on in the background that are creating that resistance. And so maybe you're being nudged to go do the taxes, which is why the idea keeps popping in your head. But then it's like the subconscious, stuff is creating that resistance and is not allowing for you to move forward with that. So you have to kind of explore that as well, to be like, is there resistance there? Or is it just really not the time? And the way to figure out what the right thing is for you is like, just for me, at least in my experience, it's just been inner work has helped me to really have a greater, deeper connection to like my true inner guidance. And I know like when the next step is, like I know when I need to be doing something, but I'm resisting it because of whatever crap, I don't know, like I just really know myself, but that has been a byproduct of like doing the inner work to get rid of a lot of the egoic voices, a lot of the fear, the scarcity, the crap that would meddle with that divine guidance. And so inner work has really allowed for me to just make it clear to hear my true self. So yeah. Angela, did you want to say something?
I mean, I've been also working on giving without like giving something, and that's kind of been something I've been working on the past week, is allowing myself to receive without feeling guilty, or all of these things that come up. And that, I think I've been going through that a lot as well. But also the like you were saying, like the guidance, and sometimes I'll be like, okay, I haven't posted anything on social media in 2 days. Like people are not gonna, like, I need to post something, and then I open it, like, what, like, I don't even know what to say, and then like sometimes it's like 3 times a day I'm like, there's so much to say, so
Yeah.
at first it was like, okay, it's been 2 days, like you need to get it together, but it comes when it comes, like, it's the same thing. Like I remember, waking up and looking at my clock, it's like 2:30 a.m. and I'm just like being bombarded with all of these things, and I'm like, okay, I gotta get up and like write these down, like, so yeah, it doesn't always look like what you want it to look like. And that's part of like the surrendering, is knowing that, it's gonna come when it comes. And like you said, like letting go of the control, because if I'm trying to make myself, for a post, for instance, and I mean, if I wait until it comes to me more, it's more aligned with me, instead of me trying to force something. It's more aligned with my energy and my flow.
Yeah, I want to point out, like, anytime you as an entrepreneur person in general, like every time you feel like I need to do this, like you tell yourself, like, I need to do this, I should be doing this, like that's your ego a lot of times telling you what you think you're supposed to, what the right thing is to do, to be in control, to make things happen. You're not trusting in God, the universe, your higher self. You're not trusting in the higher power. And so you need to really catch yourself. You need to be aware of when you catch yourself, like, I need to do this. Because I used to do that a lot early in the day, where I'm like, oh my God, like I haven't posted in a few days. Like I need to show up. I need to like write an email. I need to, do a video, whatever. People are going to forget about me and all this other crap. And that's just like all scarcity, limiting beliefs, fears, things that you got to work through to stop having that drive you as you move forward. And it's an opportunity for you to really just like chill out and relax, because honestly, it's not about quantity. It's not about hustling. It's not about how much work you put out. It's about truly being aligned energetically and putting things of value out into the world that are going to truly help people when, you truly feel called to share something. And so if you've noticed, for those of you watching live and stuff, or the replay, that over the last few months, or maybe like last year, I don't know, but I've just kind of like shown up online and I just do whatever I want now. And I'm just like, yeah, whatever, this week I'm going to be on Instagram a few times, and then I'm gone for like 2 weeks or a month. And then like this week I'm going to be on YouTube for a while or whatever. And I just like go in and out, because I just don't force myself to do things anymore. I'm just like, if it doesn't feel right to me, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to try to do it because my mind thinks I need to do it. And my mind thinks I need to do this to get this. I'm not operating off of that crap programming anymore. I'm not in Matrix anymore. Like I'm breaking free and I'm doing it my way. And my way is, I don't feel it right now. And when I feel like talking about something, I'll show up. And then I've been just doing that lately. And that leads me back to what you said earlier about like your friend who's an entrepreneur who is like, you just need to do da 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 da, but then it just didn't feel right, and it's like, you got to trust in your inner feeling, like, especially if you've been doing inner work and you have a deeper connection to your inner guidance or your voice. Like, if it just doesn't feel right, then don't force yourself to do it. I mean, if you still force yourself to do it anyway, you're going to learn that it wasn't in alignment for you, more than likely. And that's still a valuable experience, you know? Sometimes you have to go and test it out to really see it's not for you. But when, you know, people are telling you, like, try the strategy, do this, do that, and it just doesn't feel right. Like, I have people invite me to things all the time, and I have to, like, really sit with it. And I have to double check with my guide sometimes, but I have to sit with it. I'm like, does it feel right? I don't know. I'm not really feeling it, you know? And I'm just like, okay, not for me, you know, even though it might be a good opportunity or whatever it is, like, it just doesn't feel right to me. So I'm not going to put my energy into it. And when it comes to, like, business strategies and things like that, like, I remember I used to feel so guilty in a way for maybe, like, not doing as much as other people out there who were, like, I don't know, like, they just look all good online, you know, with their pretty graphics or their things or whatever. And I used to, like, kind of beat myself up in the past, like, oh man, I should probably, like, make my things nicer. I should probably, you know, do this. And I would try, you know, I would try, because my brain back in the day drove me. So I would, like, try to make this stuff nicer and put effort into it, into designing. But I'm not a, you know, visual design person. Like, I know, okay, I know what looks good to me, but as far as, like, putting it together, I don't have the time and patience for that. I don't have the inspiration. I'm not an artistic person in that way, but I would still force myself to try to make things look nice. And then I would spend hours on it and it would frustrate the crap out of me. And I'm like, because I'm doing things that I don't really want to do. I think I need to do them though. And I'm wasting my precious freaking time trying to do things that I think will help me to get more people to notice me, to see me. And this is out of alignment. So I had to really learn over the years. I'm very strong because I'm moving this phone around. I had to learn over the years that it's like, if it just doesn't feel right to me, then I'm not going to do it. You know, just because everyone else is doing it, I don't care. I'm going to walk my own path. I'm going to do my own thing. I don't care if it doesn't look nice or fancy or pretty or what everyone else is doing. I don't care anymore. Like, I'm doing me, and screw it. Like, I'm still gonna win either way. And I think that's really important for entrepreneurs moving forward, to really understand, conscious entrepreneurs especially, is like, if someone's strategy or a certain marketing, I don't know, thing out there just doesn't feel right for you, it doesn't vibe with you, then don't try to force yourself to do it, because it's just probably not for you. And it doesn't mean that just because you're not having the most beautiful Instagram, you know, feed, you know, because I see a lot of really beautiful accounts. No, I'm not dissing them. That works for them. That's what's right for them. But just because there's some people out there with, like, these beautiful feeds doesn't mean you can't be successful when your feed doesn't look like that. You know, like, your feed could be all random, whatever, but it's your energy, it's your message that's going to really attract people. And so you don't have to have, like, the prettiest branding or pictures or social media accounts or YouTube thumbnail graphics or whatever it is, you know. Like, I saw this girl, I forgot what's her name on YouTube. This little girl, or this young woman, because she's probably, like, in her early 20s, who blew up on YouTube really fast. In the course of maybe, like, a year, she had, like, 500,000 followers. And she has, like, the most basic thumbnails. No offense to her. She just has very simple thumbnails. It's just literally her picture and then some text, like, no other colors, no nothing, just that. And she literally, like, blew up. I can't remember her name right now. If I find her, I don't know. She's this young African American woman, and she just blew up. Why? Because she's just being herself, and she's just sharing her craziness and her random ideas, and her just sharing her truth. And that is what allowed her to really be in alignment to, like, succeed. Right. But when we think, hold on, I got to, like, follow these strategies to get success, there's nothing wrong with the strategies. If it speaks to you, if it's in alignment for you, go do them. But if it's not in alignment, don't force yourself, because that's part of this new energy that we're in, is, like, stop forcing yourself to try to follow someone's path or strategy. You're a unique soul. Things work uniquely for you, and you got to trust in that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I agree. It's really, I think, just to sum it all up, it's just like, we're being asked to balance our internal masculine and feminine energies. For so long, we've been in that masculine of, like, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this, think logically. And now, like, we are being, like, really asked to bring that feminine energy back in and let things flow. How does this make me feel before I jump into it and do it, you know? really balancing both. And one of the things that has been huge for me, you know, the more I become aware of, like, you know, not only like really self-sabotaging tendencies, and one big one is boundaries, and like setting boundaries with people in my life, saying, you know what, like, actually, like, as much as I want to help you or do this, like, I need to set a boundary right now, because I know that I'm in flow right now, and I want to stay in flow, and I want to continue to do my work, or whatever, however that may be. But I think, you know, the masculine side of it is taking action and setting those boundaries for your feminine energy to flow through you, you know. But I think overall, like, this is what we're really trying to figure out, this balancing act of like doing, inspiring, resting, allowing it to come, taking action whenever it's time to come, setting boundaries with those around us, so that we can stay in alignment, stay in the right energy, and not be, you know, pulled into distractions that aren't necessarily getting us to where we want to be, you know?
Yeah, 100. Did you guys want to say anything? Oh, Andrea's taking in all the wisdom. So yeah, you know, basically that's it. We have to really just trust in ourselves, and it's going to take a minute for everyone, I think, to find that balance in that masculine and feminine. As triggers come up, as healing comes up for you, challenges, you know, and you just connect more deeply to more of who you truly are, you're going to figure out what that balance is. And, you know, at least for me, because of me being on this journey for a few years now, like I can think back to my experiences, and I can recognize, like, oh, I was like in this more toxic, forceful masculine energy, and then I was like too much in the feminine, and now I just have a greater understanding of the two, and like what feels right to me, what doesn't. But it's been through a lot of trial and error, so don't expect yourself to get it right away. Don't expect yourself to, you know, have some kind of like success formula to figure this out, because this is going to be different for everyone, and it's going to be different according to like where you're at in your journey. Some moments you might need more of this masculine go-getting energy, and then other times you might need to be more of this feminine energy. So it just depends. There's no like perfect thing. Like, that's what I want everyone to understand, because I think as humans we've been programmed to be very linear and to think like it's black or white, like it needs to be this or this, you know. And it's not that way. It's, you know, flow, like balance. Like it'll be a little bit more over here sometimes, and then you have to like switch over here. It just depends. And so only the journey is going to show you, you know, what that looks like for you, and yeah, you figuring it out for yourself.
Having that self-compassion, I think for anyone, whether you're in business or not, like having that compassion for yourself. And yeah, this is one thing that I've really been working on, is like, okay, like, let's learn from it and we're moving on. Like, today is a new day, like day one, okay, fresh start, like, you know, and really allowing myself to have compassion for things that I've done or didn't do or whatever, because it's all perfect. We're right where we're supposed to be. And the more that we just continue to strive to do better and be the best that we can be, and allow like what happens, you know, in our life to reflect back to us and become more aware, we're doing just fine. We're doing great.
Yeah. And that's also something I want to share really quickly, is like, you will see entrepreneurs or spiritual entrepreneurs that achieve success really quickly. And then it might leave you wondering, like, why is that, you know, unfolding for me? Why isn't that working out for me? And that's where you really have to understand that, you know, you have to be cognizant of the fact that you're falling back into comparisonitis, and to catch yourself so that you stop being so hard on yourself and extend yourself that grace and compassion to really know, like, you know what, your journey is different because you're a different soul and you're here to do different things. And that may require you to, you know, take a little bit longer than other people and go through certain challenges that other people, you know, don't go. They have different things, you know, and it's just the way it is because of, you know, the fact of like what you're here to do and who you're here to be. So stop when you catch yourself being frustrated with your journey and how it's unfolding. It's an opportunity for you to, you know, stop that hurtful behavior towards yourself, because you're beating yourself up, and you got to like shift that. And then also to just really allow it to be okay, and allow that moment, that experience to be okay. And honestly, like, we're truly here for spiritual growth anyway. So even if on some level that day all you do is have a greater awareness of something, or you catch yourself doing something, that isn't good for you, and you stop yourself, like, even if you do that small minor thing, like, that was worth your existence. Like, part of you being here, like, you notice something, you shift it a little bit, and that's good enough, and you have to just allow that to be okay. So it's definitely something I've had to really work on myself a lot. And also I want to share with someone, with all of you real quick, because something I shared with my best friend the other day to help her understand her journey, since I've been learning a little bit more about human design, is like, my best friend has like a line 6. And what I've learned about line 6 people is like, they usually have to, I'm a line 3, and line 3 people like me are people who experiment a lot, which means that we fail a lot, which means that we have to make a lot of mistakes. And that's what we're here to do. And me, as a perfectionist back in the day, not as much anymore, but back in the day especially, I wanted to be number one. I wanted to get things right. I wanted to like get there fast. I'm very competitive, so I'm like, I'm gonna win and this and that. And if I wasn't winning, I wasn't moving as fast as I wanted to, it was like a big deal to my ego. And my ego was like, oh my God, you're such a loser, you're failing, this and that, you should have gotten this by now, you're so dumb. And like, I would beat myself up. Like, I think everyone, their voice, their own inner egoic voice is like their worst enemy. Our inner egoic voices can just be really, really harmful, and such big bullies to us. So anyway, real quick, I would really beat myself up, and I was just constantly like frustrated with myself, because I was like, man, like, why does my journey have to be so hard? Da 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 da, like all this other stuff. Why do I keep messing up? I know this. I know I should have done this better by now. All these other things. And I used to get so frustrated with myself. But then when I really understood this about my own unique design, of the fact that like, I'm here to mess up, I'm here to experiment a lot, because I'm here as a guide for people, as a projector for people. I'm here to show them what works and what doesn't work based on my own experience, because I've done a lot of things that don't work, and I know what works and what doesn't work, and I know how to help people figure out like these things more easily. So I've made the mistakes for people, so to speak. So when I kind of like wrapped my head around that, I stopped being so hard on myself and accepting myself more, and being like, oh, like, there's nothing wrong with me. Like, I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. And the thing with my friend line 6 is like, 3 is half of 6. So with these people, what I've learned is that they are similar to me in that they make a lot of mistakes, but then they kind of like cultivate the wisdom of their mistakes like later on in life. Like I gain the wisdom of it because I make mistakes right away, and I learn right away, and I gain the wisdom and the insight right away. Whereas line 6 people, they take a little bit longer to kind of bring all of that together and really like understand that later in life. So my friend was like, oh man, like, dang it, like I have to wait longer. And I'm like, no, wait. I was like, it's kind of like an accordion. And so an accordion, when it's stretched out, that's kind of like her path. It's like she has the little lines along the accordion, those are like the mistakes. And she's going to make, let's say 100 mistakes, all these mistakes along her lifetime. And eventually when she's a little bit older, it's going to like really come together as this like really solid wisdom when she's a little bit older. Cool. But that accordion for me is like condensed. And I'm making all those mistakes in a very short amount of time. It's an intense journey. It's like coming at me like, like I'm getting shot out here, like the bullets and stuff. And I'm going through it. And I'm just like, it's an intense ride. Do you want the intense ride, or would you rather have it be paced and kind of, go through the process? So everything has its pros and cons. And when I kind of helped her understand that, like, do you really want the intensity of this life? Because I don't know. And then she was like, no, I'll just take what I have here. I'm like, okay, cool. So everything has, its blessing, and it's maybe not, so blessing. So, that's the thing, is that I want everyone to understand with this example real quick, is that, maybe your journey is taking a little bit longer. It's a little bit more challenging than the others, whatever, because that's exactly how it's supposed to be. It's exactly how it's supposed to be. So don't continue to judge yourself and compare yourself to other people, because, I think a lot of times what I've had to really understand from Spirit over the years is like, you think you know what you want, but you think you know what you want, but that's not really what you truly want on a deeper level, on a soul level. And that's not really what's for your highest good. So a long time ago, when I was first a health coach, I thought that's what I wanted to do. And, I thought like, yeah, I'm going to change lives this way. But spirit and my soul knew what I really truly wanted, and it was not to impact people in that way, and I had to take a different journey. And instead of kind of like wasting my time, maybe 10-20 years doing this health coaching things and specializing in that, and maybe being really good at it and getting, helping people in that way, but it not really fulfilling me, spirit has saved me, 10-20 years of my life from taking me off that health coaching path and then putting me on like the spiritual coaching path. And it's been an intense ride, but it's like, this is what's going to truly make you happy in the long run, and it's going to put you on the path for your highest good. So when you catch yourself comparing yourself, please stop that. Work on your self-love, work on your self-acceptance, and then just do your best to trust in your process and take the steps that you feel called to take to move yourself along your journey. And it will come together in time. You just got to be patient and do your best. Anyone else want to share anything to wrap up?
I love that. I feel like I've got the same human design thing. I don't know what it is exactly, but I mean, I know I'm a generator, but whatever that line is.
The intensity.
Yeah, I feel like I got that intense one too. Like,
it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah,
awesome.
Super grateful to be on. Thank you, Steph.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Maggie, for joining me. Angela, Andrea, for your presence, holding space. I appreciate you so much. Any last questions, Andrea? Anything you want to ask or you want to share from what you took away from this conversation real quick?
Well, I find interesting you mentioning the human design. It was something that it came to my attention just like a couple of weeks ago. I haven't really investigated about it, but I get into profiles of people that like talk a lot about it, and I'm not really sure what it is. I haven't really investigated on it, but it's a pattern that is repeating. So
yeah,
it's worth go and check what it is.
Yeah, check it out. See if it's something that aligns with you. I learned about human design a couple of years ago, but I wasn't ready for it until like this last year when I finally was open to receiving it. And gradually it's helped me, as I've learned little things here and there, to have a greater acceptance of myself, my journey, and like why I am the way I am. And what I've understood from human design so far, how I see it is how I explained it to my friend the other day is like, it tells you what kind of gingerbread cookie you are. Like everyone's a gingerbread cookie, but how that cookie is decorated is different from person to person. So it just tells you like who you are in a sense. But yeah, and that information can be beneficial to a certain extent, so it's beneficial to me to understand, like, I'm here to experiment a lot. I'm here to not get things right on the first go. And that's okay, because my ego wants me to get it right on the first go. And when I don't, it's like, oh, like, you dummy. And so learning that about myself has helped me to like accept my journey, my path, myself more. So it's helped me, but then I complement it with like my own inner work that I do and stuff. And that, as well, to work through stuff that keeps me from, being the highest version of myself. So, but it is helpful. It is very helpful. So yeah, look into it if it speaks to you. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for your time. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I will drop everyone's social media links and websites or anything like that in the comments of this video for you all who are watching to check out and connect with them and work with them if you feel called to. Angela writes really brilliant, amazing posts. She shares very beautiful messages all the time. I follow her on Facebook, especially. I think that's where you're mostly present, Angela, is like Facebook.
For now, yeah.
Yeah, and she just, is all about empowerment and self-love because she's had like such a powerful journey. Andrea is really amazing at body work and helping people to rehabilitate and prevent injuries and just empowering them with lots of knowledge and wisdom on, the physical body and how they can have better, health. And he helped me tremendously. Like at some point, I'm going to get it. My interview that I did with him back in January on my YouTube channel and Instagram. I haven't forgotten about you, Andrea. Like, it's just, it hasn't been the time. I haven't felt like it needed to. And I think that's because you're going through your journey and your process.
I'm procrastinating on that too, but like, I feel like this week is going to be the right week to like edit that video. I have it on the software, and it's like, I'm looking at it. It's like, I need to pass over. It was really like, it wasn't planned. So I don't like many parts of how it looks like, the sound and things. So I'm I'm just like sitting there looking at it and accepting it. Like, I'm gonna post this. Am I?
Yeah. You do it when you feel called to. Don't force it, allow it. And so I haven't felt like it was time. So when I feel like it's time, like I'm sure you'll be, in a better place, and then we can move forward. So I'm happy to, at some point share that interview with Andrea, how he really helped me with my body, because he is amazing at what he does. Really, really brilliant. And then Maggie has an amazing community. And can I say the other word?
Sure.
Okay, she has an amazing app that she's creating. It's beautiful, and the concept behind it is just amazing. And Maggie is just a really kind-hearted person who really is just wanting to be of service to people. I love the idea behind the platform that she's creating, because it truly is coming from a place of deep service, which is what we're really transitioning into, which I'll probably talk more about in my next call with my next group of friends. But yeah, it's just really good vibes behind that platform, and just really desire to help people, empower them, and serve them, and mutually support one another. So I really like the concept, and Maggie's just really awesome as well, and shares beautiful messages. She's more active on Instagram, so I'll post their stuff here in the comments of this video for you all to check out. Thank you everyone for your time. I really appreciate you. I hope you got something out of this, and I'll talk to you soon on the platforms. Bye. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.